Hi, my name is Mona Isler, and I am a light-skinned, natural-haired improviser. So when I was growing up, I was always referred to as light-skinned. I was made fun of it. I was made fun of because of it, and I remember it having a really strong impact on me. I can remember my friends and family actually singing, "Mona is a white girl, Mona is a white girl." I still hear it reverberating exactly how they said it, even to this day, 50 some odd years later. And I always felt bad about being light-skinned. I felt like I was different. I felt like I was the only one who looked like me. I remember being asked by my classmates if my mom was white or if I was mixed. And for some reason, I always felt different, other, because I was light-skinned. My mom's light-skinned too, but it just felt like I was the only one. And I just remember feeling not a part of my community. As I grew up, though, I recognized that being light-skinned had its own privileges out in society. I recognized as I got older that white people tended to afford me a privilege as light-skinned Black person that my dark-skinned brothers and sisters didn't get. I wasn't seen nearly as dangerous or as violent or as all of the other terrible traits that they assigned to people of color. So I knew that I sort of had this privilege that sat in this world that didn't exist in the African American world. I didn't feel like I was fully accepted by African Americans because I was light-skinned and maybe I was trying to pass. But I also knew that I wasn't fully accepted in the white community either, because even though I was light-skinned, I was still Black. So I was always kind of struggling with this thing. Even to this day, when I'm referred to as light-skinned, I kind of bristle. I kind of go, my instinct is to say, but I'm not light-skinned. And it's a long-lasting damage that for some people might seem insignificant, but for me, it has affected me my entire life, wanting to feel like I was a part of my community, to be fully and wholly accepted despite how light my skin is. My dad used to call me Little Red, or red bone, which was a Southern slang for being light-skinned. And it just came from every direction. It just was a part of my upbringing to, I don't know, make me feel bad about the color of my skin. I'm not sure. But it sat with me, and it still does to this very day. So I started my natural hair journey probably 6 years ago. My daughter went natural when she was in college, and I was always fascinated by what I perceived to be the ease of natural hair. And the first thing I recognized was that I had a lot of internal hatred about my hair. I recognized that I was sort of brought up to believe that straight hair was the right way, that straight hair was good, and that my natural, kinky, coily hair was bad. I remember getting, permed relaxers or straightening combs in my hair as early as I could possibly remember, because it was better to have straight hair than not. And I couldn't even figure out where these internalized European senses of beauty came from, because in my house, we only had ebony and jet. I never saw a Cosmo until I was an adult. I'd only ever looked at the, jet beauty of the week as what I aspired to in terms of what beauty meant. So it was coming from me from places that I didn't even know existed. And I really was hating my hair. And it took me a long time to sort of just accept that whatever this looked like when I got up in the morning was perfect. I had to accept that however it grew out, however it styled after I put some gel in it in the morning, was exactly the way that it was supposed to be. Another thing I had to contend with, though, was the white gaze of my natural hair. When I first went natural, and for many years after that, I always felt uncomfortable when I was around white people who were noticing my natural hair, as though I was being judged by it. I mean, we're still legislating whether or not natural hair can be worn in the workplace.
A new law makes California the first state to ban discrimination against black students and employees over their natural hairstyles. Governor Gavin Newsom signed the bill into law yesterday. It protects black people with styles like dreadlocks or cornrows.
It's an abomination to think that what comes naturally out of my hair isn't beautiful, isn't professional. And that's kind of what I've had to deal with. I remember one time, I don't know, I'd probably been natural several months, maybe a year. And my boss came up to me randomly and was like, I kind of like your hair. And I kind of, Mona looked him like, and he goes, I wasn't sure at first. And I was like, well, I don't care what you think, I like it. And it was in that moment that I really learned to love and accept my hair, however it looks, how the gray, the kinky, the coily, whatever. I just had to learn to really just love myself the way it came out. So a few years ago, a friend of mine invited me to her improv class that she does at the Brainery. My improv mentor, Megan Mack. And a friend and I went. It was on my birthday, so I thought, what the hell, why not? I went to this improv class and I absolutely fell in love with it. I discovered that I was actually quite good at improv. It was about sort of just letting go and being 6 years old again and really just playing. No rules, no regulations, just sort of going back and forth with the person that you're talking to. It was an amazing world that I had just sort of stepped into. I remember taking an improv class with Megan and just really falling in love with a world that I was creating moment by moment by moment, because you never knew what was coming. You never knew what was going to be the next thing said or the next act done.
I'm a vegan.
I'm a steak dealer.
I'm smug animosity.
Smug animosity today.
I am smug animosity.
I'm Mr. Pompous.
I'm an ashtray.
Ashtray stays.
I'm an ashtray.
I'm your parents tell you, don't smoke, don't smoke. Don't smoke.
I'm a joint.
Joint stays.
I'm a joint.
Police officer. I'm your parents being hypocrites now. Give me some of the joint. Give me some of the joint.
Police officer stays.
I'm a police officer.
I'm a gun. I'm Black Lives Matter!
It just was something that was so amazing to me. And improv is quite a white-dominated world. And I have had to sort of process being the only Black person in any improv class that I've ever been in or any improv troupe that I've ever belonged to. And it is really kind of strange to sort of be the one in that space. I remember feeling when I joined a troupe that I was the only Black person in that troupe and having to feel like I needed to make them okay with my Blackness. I needed to make it be okay for them to sort of acknowledge that I was Black and then sort of ignore it after that. And I remember thinking I have to say the joke, I have to make the obvious self-deprecating reference or something to make them feel okay about me feeling okay about being the only Black person in this space. We actually tend to do that in our real life all the time, but this is a small, really tiny, intimate world, and it felt very big for me. It felt very large and animated. I remember at some point having to try my best to not make my characters so Black. I had to really sort of tone down my characterizations. Everybody has what we call a default character. When you get nervous or you're not sure what choice to make, you always have that one person that you become so that you feel comfortable and then you can sort of move forward in a scene. And mine was an old Black church lady, just because it's real, it's normal for me. I have a lot of old Black church ladies in my life, so it seemed to make a lot of sense. But then I remember feeling like I'm always going to be that Black character. I'm always going to be the Black person. So when I mentally made choices to make my character Southern or male or Australian or whatever, I still was perceived as that character, but also Black. I simply could not escape the color of my skin in this space, in a world that was made up. It was literally a world of make-believe, and I could not be anything more than just this Black person characterizing whoever I was going to be, whether I was a little girl sucking my thumb or an old crippled man walking with a walker. I was still only perceived and related to in that way as a Black character. What I learned, I think, from all of those three experiences, and I'm pushing 52 right now, what I've learned throughout the course of my entire life, and these three things that have really impacted me so strongly, is that I'm okay with me. I love me. I love the color of my skin, the bright beauty of it. I can wear any color and I look fantastic. I love my hair. I love that it's soft and I can run my fingers all the way through it, and it's natural and it's gorgeous and people love it and I love it. And I've learned that I can stand in my space as the only Black woman in any space and still be okay with me. And it took me a long time to really come to grips with that I'm okay being me. I love me. I'm pretty good.